This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so you just make it optional, and now you can just get rid of it and save and close.
Do you need to record this, John? I know you just hit the record button.
I just figured I would, and if anybody wants to see it, they can. Okay, and then I'm just going to OK out of this, and
Now
now
you can delete that.
I should be able. Oh, it's contact. Oh, another tab. Okay, now it should delete.
Well, it still has an asterisk there, and
Oh
that's
yeah, okay.
automatic.
Well, what I gotta do is save it. I think save, let it figure out what's going on here, and then maybe even publish it. Right, so you get that it's required because you made it required somehow. And then if I remove this, will it let me do it? No. So I'm just gonna get out of here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go right back in. Maybe I'll just even go into fields here. And, oh, this is weird. Okay, job selected. It's a lookup, right? Which you made it. And then I'm just going to remove the field.
Oh,
Now I'm going to go
okay.
to the form.
Okay.
Okay, contact form, and it should be gone. Sometimes you got to go in and out and whatnot.
You may now, and then now you remove the section that was holding that form. That's no longer
Well, I don't know that
field.
the section's not really removed. I still have to remove the section. Now I just want to yeah, so bear with me. So now that's removed, right? So I want to save and then publish. And you see, you know, refresh. Right, so this is a candidate form, which, by the way, we still need to figure out. We haven't figured this out yet, but we're going to go to Tom Walsh and see if it's a candidate. Yeah, it's a candidate. This is a candidate, but it's a candidate only because we made him a candidate. And I did, because, let me see where we are here. Well, anyway, so now we could go to, no, oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't applications. Oh gosh, okay.
Go back to summary, John. I
Oh,
think
that's right. Well, the tab is gone. The tab is gone. All right, go back.
yes. But now see where it says contact type employer contact? Doesn't that
Yeah.
mean you're looking at the candidate you're looking at the candidate view of the form, but that's still truly a contact type employer. Now Tom is a contact type candidate.
Yeah, this is my workaround, or my way of just trying to give the system information so it knows which form to display. Right? So if I just make this a contact type candidate, or I can make it anything else, it's not going to change the form view. And we need for it to know whether it's a candidate or a contact. And that, I think, bears on the point you made earlier, right? So if it knows it's a candidate, then it will know that to look for applications from that candidate. If it's an employer contact, it's going to exclude that group of people from any lookup for applications.
Yeah, so that raises with it a lot of complexity. If I was doing it, I would have had one table for candidates, one table for employers.
So how do you then, what happens if a candidate then becomes an employer contact?
Well, so there's certain data that would hold, but there's a lot of data that wouldn't hold. So there's two ways to handle that. You just either copy the 6 fields that are in both, or you well, yeah, you don't want to have to retype the data, so you would just copy the record over, or you would do like a move, or see, because in some cases, John, they may be both. They may be looking for another opportunity, i.e., they are a candidate at the same time that they are an employer, because they may be looking to leave their current job. So they may be both at the same time.
If they're looking to move their job, so there are currently a candidate. But if you go to career here, then you can see that basically their current employer is here. Right?
Yeah,
But the primary
you
role
should.
is as a candidate.
Well, again, it could be done. What you're doing could be done, but it makes everything harder in my humble opinion. It could be done, but it makes everything harder, because now you always have to be looking at your contacts form, and for almost everything that it touches, you have to do an if else statement. Is it a contact, or like is it an employer, or is it a candidate? And then we have to do this if it's one thing, and we have to do that if it's another thing. And then also the form that you see to do data entry, we have to say, well, do we show this form, or do we show that form? So it could be done, but if it's in its own table, it's just always automatically inherent to that type of contact, versus managing through code or through business logic the fact that it's a different kind of contact.
Yeah, well, here's what Salesforce has to say about it. And again, my familiarity with Salesforce is far beyond this, but I can assure you that, or I'm going to bet, dollar to a donut, that they're going to say the same thing, that you never want to create two instances of the same person, even if, in other words, you'd have to delete a person from one table and create it in another table.
Well, right, but I would guess then, John, that they would have an entity of person. So this would be the same way in the Navy or the DoD. You have the entity of the person with certain metadata that doesn't change, like their date of birth, their social security number will never change. However, then you would have two tables beneath that one in a hierarchical structure. You would have the entity of the person table, but then you'd have one table, one child table beneath it that says that they're an employer, and then another table beneath it that says they're a job seeker, a candidate.
Yeah.
So, but we don't have that. So in other words, then it requires three tables, at least three tables.
Okay, look, actually, that's what's accomplished with this, right? It really is the same idea. You've got essentially on the summary, you've got the stuff that rarely changes, right? Or at least, so on summary, you've got the name, you've got, phone number, you've got all that sort of like immediately accessible stuff.
Right, but okay, but that contact type then,
yeah, but the contact,
it should come out of that, and it should be beneath in a place where it's a table that has two records. One where
look, I'm gonna let's do this just for the sake of expediency. I want to get to the immediate thing at hand. It's a discussion to have, but it's not something I'm prepared to talk about. I think.
No, I completely understand. We're moving forward with it the way it is, with
right.
the what I would call secondary way of doing it.
Yeah, look,
but we were talking about how it would be ideally done, which if you go down that rabbit hole, it would if you go down that rabbit hole, I think it would be
not
differently,
really, because here, the way that Salesforce handles it, and that I think there's got to be a way for Microsoft to do it, is basically they define a record type. So this is why I call it contact type. It's a record type, and all that means is that a person is a person. They're going to appear in contacts, And context is a standard managed object. And you do not want to replicate a standard object because that creates way more headaches than you might imagine. The way you want to do it is basically to define their primary role in relationship to what you're trying to do. Okay, and to do that, you basically say, okay, here's a record type. So you have, if for example, in this case, we have really two primary record types. You're either an employer or you're a candidate, and you could be both. Sure.
That's in this particular case, that's the key item is when you are both, but we don't have here the ability to have contact type candidate and contact type employer.
Sure we do. Sure we do. We can
really well
create
no.
another.
How do you ever?
Hang on a second.
How do you make them both at the same time?
That's what alumni is for. All right. Now you basically you can create another view that gives you, okay, they're an alumni and an employer. But guess what? If they're an alumni and they're an employer, the fact that they're an alumni is not going to impact. You can just basically say, you can give another little thing here and say, oh yeah, the guy, he's a veteran and he's an alumnus, and on you go. And you're still going to want to prefer to see that same person with this view, because this is how you relate to them.
So is that well, again, we could keep talking about it because I have a response to that, or we could just focus on the task at hand.
I think this is, at this point, it's academic. We're down this path. I have never heard of. I mean, I worked with Salesforce for 10 years, and I will tell you that anybody that you talk to, and again, my experience in Microsoft very limited, but they will tell you, you don't ever want to create a separate table for an individual.
Okay, so on that matter, I would say as a business analyst, if I did a query and I want to do a query for all of my employers and I do another query for all of my candidates, will Tom Walsh show up in both queries?
Well, let me ask you something.
Because it would have to, if he's both an employer and a candidate, he has to show up in both queries. But what you're showing me now shows me that he will not show up in both queries.
Okay, let me ask you something. Why would you want, I mean, how often do you think it would be that the guy is both a candidate and an employer contact? I'm not talking about.
Again, as a developer, I don't care that it only happens 1% of the time. If it can ever possibly happen in the course of the world, you have to code for it. In other words, even though it's rare, but it's possible, it has to be coded for.
Well,
now, if it's impossible,
hang on a second.
then it's not coded for.
All right, let me just say, because I want to get to this primary thing. In this particular case, I promise you, we're talking about a very simple thing, and it does not have to be coded for. Okay, if we miss one guy out of 1,000 because we didn't do this to the nines, that's okay, because we're talking about you're either a candidate in this environment or you're an employer contact. Those are the only two kinds of contacts we care about.
Right, now, and we're not allowing you to be both. And so as long as we agree on that, we're good.
We are allowing you to be both. We absolutely
not both at the same time.
Yes. How do we do that? Basically, we just define a category that says they're both. Like in alumni.
So an alumni means then that they are an employer looking for people and that they are a candidate applying for a job.
It means whatever we want it to mean, right? So we can create another category. And if we wanted to do that and say, wow, they're both an alumni, look, we just make a checkbox, right? We say they're an alumnus. And look, let me just do it this way, okay? Let me just say this guy's an alumnus, okay? And then we go to the contact view. And now they're also the primary contact for this employer. All right? You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now what you do is you do a query and you say, give me all of the people who are alumni and who are the primary employer contact. It's simple as that.
Right. And then if Tom Walsh is looking for a job as a candidate also, then how would that appear?
Well, if he's the primary contact for that employer, I mean, think
And
about
he's looking for another job at the same time.
well, then, then I think we want to go to, okay, now if he's a primary employer, he's currently, think about this, he's at sample.co, okay? And he's senior enough to be a recruiter that is the primary contact representing that company. Now, in the unlikely event that he's also somebody who wants to look for is a candidate for a job, that's fine. He can apply to a job and the application will appear. He doesn't have to be restricted to being a candidate. He does not. He just has to be a contact. But how many times is somebody who is the established employer contact going to be a candidate? Very, very, very rarely, if ever. So if you want to make for that possibility, you're only complicating it unnecessarily. All I'm saying is we can designate that this person is a candidate. He's active. He's got relationships to job orders. He's been hired or not. He's an alumnus. You can have these as check boxes, and then you can run any kind of query you want. You can say he's a candidate and he's an employer contact and he's an alumnus. If you wanted to, you could do all of that. But that intersection is going to be zero, pretty much. And who care about that anyway? That's an outlier. It doesn't matter. All right. And I don't mean to be dismissive here, but I want us to focus on what we have to focus on right now. This is it's a great discussion for tomorrow, Victor, I think. And it's not something I'm prepared to answer, but I absolutely know that we are not going to create another table for contacts. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure out how to distinguish between candidates and contacts by how we label or not label them, but it's the same group, and that's why we have different forms for each one. And the question now is not so much whether or not they reside in a different table, but how do we tell the system which form to display? It's pretty simple, actually. Okay.
Yeah, no, I could understand. Yep.
And you'll get that. Look, I mean, you'll get the logic here as we go. And I think if we were talking about doing planning a trip to the moon, yeah, we'd want to get it pretty precise. So think about it this way. We've got about 1,000 veterans who are looking for jobs. And most of these veterans are going to be active duty, right? They're maybe going to be working on their BA or BS. And they're going to be active duty and they're going to be in a full-time course, right? So you remember, if they can spend 16 weeks in a full-time course, they will not be employed as the primary veteran recruiter for any company. Okay.
I wholeheartly follow, John. I follow. It's the primary use of this application is for people that we've designated as candidates to apply for positions.
Yeah, and but we also we also want to accommodate. I mean, to be clear, we want to really accommodate for example, let's say this Tom Walsh guy, he's a candidate right now, and let's say he applies. He's got some applications. When we fix this thing, it'll have the job order, it'll have the the stage, and let's see if he's hired, the stage hired, and then
Yeah.
he's hired, let's say on June 1st.
No,
Right?
I understand. I think it's just going to be tricky because the same table that creates the openings is the same table that we have to connect those openings back into. I think it's just going to be tricky.
No, 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 no. The openings are completely independent of the person, right? So the job openings are that's a completely separate table. And we want to connect the openings to the candidate.
But I thought the openings were connected to the employer, which is connected to the employee.
No, it's not connected to the employee at all. It's only connected because the job is with that employer, not with the employee of that employer.
So we've got another table then for companies.
Yeah, yeah, of course we do. Right? That's account. That's your account. Right? Right? So look, a person works for a company that the primary employer contact is merely that person through whom you communicate about these job opportunities. That's it.
Oh,
That's
so
all.
there's yeah. And then in this company, Sample Co, we've got contacts.
You got it.
Those are the job orders and the contacts are separate and the job orders are separate. They're not connected to the people.
Only one of these is the primary, should be the primary contact. You might have two, right? But only one of these should be the primary contact. So if you have a question about, a job order, that's who you can, because here we have multiple employees. And look at this. Tom Walsh is now listed as an employee, right? Well, it turns out he's also an alumnus. See this over here?
Mm-hmm.
So he's an alumnus.
So the job orders are connected only to the company.
Yes.
And then, so for our applications, we have to allow contacts to pick the job orders that are tied to the company.
Yes, and it's the application table that connects that contact to the job order. So the job orders associated with an employer, period.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So the fact that
I love seeing your light bulb go on, bud.
Yeah. No, I was yeah, so there should be yeah. I'm interested to see where it goes from here now. I do understand then that the contacts are secondary to the employer table, and then the employer table is related to the job openings, the opportunities.
Yes, and now the contacts are, you want to know, you want to know who else is there, right, at the company, who you can, you may have a role, and that's why we have like a job title and contact type. It could be this, and again, you wouldn't have a candidate who's also the primary contact. You wouldn't.
Yeah, I was thinking that the highest level table was the contacts, but it sounds like there's a higher level table of employers.
Well,
so
that's if you're talking about job orders, right? You're trying to get veterans placed into companies.
Yeah.
And the way you get them placed is by way of applications to job orders, which are connected to the company.
Yeah, I just thought that the contacts were first, and then we just happened to choose the employer. But it sounds like the employer is first, and then we just happened to choose the contacts. So that helps. That should help. That should help. That should help.
Yeah, the employer is first only in terms of that it's a one to many to contacts.
Okay.
Contacts are first if you're a candidate. I guess. But I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by first, but
Well,
yeah,
there should be fewer employer. That should be a one to many. The employer, it should be the parent to the children, which are the employees of that company.
you got it. And look, there's 500 of these employers, right? And each of these employers is going to have at least one contact, right? That and a primary contact.
So then
Managing.
with, yeah, so with the applications, then,
Well, back up for a second. Let's say, so you've got the sample co, and they have submitted these 3 job orders. You created, so you can create this new job order if you want. And it's going
yeah,
to have a lookup. It's not going to look up to the contact, to the employer, because it's already populated, right? It's already associated with sample co. But you do have to fill in the job title and blah, 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 right? And so I'll cancel out of this, actually. How do you cancel out of this? I guess you
so
just,
that's another question I have for them. Once you hit new, I don't know how to, other than hitting your back, go back. I don't know how to exit from anytime you hit new. It's another one of my questions for John Cassar.
yeah, I
You
just
just hit
hate,
the back. Yeah, you just go back. That's what I've been doing.
yeah. But okay, so are you following me? So a
Yes, yes. I
an
think that
account,
that was the light bulb moment was that the job orders don't fall under the employees. They fall under the employer, the company. So
you
that
got it.
let's
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, that's
Okay, so this is
I've
independent.
we
Right, so
I took
these
a
are
long way around
independent.
on that one, but I think that's going to be a big help to for me to understand that.
Good, good, good. Okay, so now here's what's interesting here is that, and I think maybe this is confusing here. I've got employer contact, and maybe the only reason I have it is because there may be an employer, a contact at the employer who is the person for that position that you need to contact. Now,
Sure, big companies are going to have different, like I know the Department of Defense, they have a different HR region depending on where you're looking to go.
right, right, and now I think Microsoft would probably prefer to have a single point of contact for that employer, but in some cases it may not be practical. That's the only reason I've had this lookup here for the employer contact. Right? The default would be the main person, but you can override it with another employer contact. Make sense?
Yep. Yeah, in
Okay,
other words,
so
who's representing that position at Sample Co?
yeah, exactly, exactly. Now, okay, so now we've got this job order, right? And we say, oh, okay, now it's posted. And this is what basically, this is what the veteran is going to be applying to. So you have a job. This is the job advertisement, the actual job posting, right? Now what we want to do is say, okay, we want to have a related list or a grid or a view here that shows which veterans applied to this job, right? And and by the way, we don't have to show the name of the company because it by definition it is this company's. It's how many applications were received, right? Who was we don't have to include job order because we know what it is. It's right here, business analyst, right? So we want to know which veterans applied, right? What was the date? And then for later, we want to basically show the stage of that application. So, for example, if you apply, number one. Number two, you get interviewed, right? You get an interview. Number three, you get an offer. Number four, you get hired or something like that.
Now, can we just have a lookup? Can we have a lookup in this right below here where we look up the candidate and then attach them to this application, and then we could add
You
to them?
could, if you want to create a new one, right? You absolutely could. Now, because this isn't implemented, uh, and it should be a lookup, but follow me on this, Victor, that if we, so let's go back and let's clean this up, because I just want to show you, uh, save and close what we were in. So get out of contact, and I'm going to go into the job application. And this is the one you're going to wipe out and completely do over again. But I'm going to go into forms.
Yeah, that job application was mine.
Yes, right.
You know that. You know that. I tried to delete it yesterday and had too many dependencies or something.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So job. Oh, I got it. Yeah.
That
So,
job application entity altogether is mine, that I was trying to recreate the application entity
got it.
that was
Got it.
yours.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
ignore the, yeah, this is the one. Yeah, you're in the right place.
Okay. So now I'm going to just go to the main form here. And I want to, the first thing I want to do is I want to say, okay, look, we've got, I mean, basically, so we can't really view this, but basically what we're going to be doing is we can have a candidate, you can create the application here, candidate job order, which is a lookup also, right? So both of these are lookups, candidate
Oh,
and job.
are they? Double click on the job order. Is that where you could see that it's a lookup?
You should, yeah. Yeah, job.
Job opportunity, lookup view, show all views, display search box. Great.
Oh,
Yep.
wait, it's format. Let me just make sure I've got details. I think, yeah, lookup. Here you go. Yeah, so look up to the job order, basically. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So ideally, if we're creating the application in the job order, it'll obviously say, okay, this is a child to the job order, and it'll populate, right? I'm assuming. But if you just have like just application, then you've got to look up the candidate, you've got to look up the job order, right? So if you're in the candidate form and you create a new application, then obviously the application is the child to the candidate.
Yes. And there will be multiple
Oh,
ones of them.
okay, good, good. The light bulb was just brightened up a little bit. See? Always. So
I'm not 100% convinced of the employer-employee relationship yet, but I I I'm taking your word for the benefit. I'm taking your word for it. So I
well,
yeah, I'm
yeah, I
presuming
mean,
we're good there. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's a good discussion, I think, to have, because I'm not armed to tell you why it's not a good idea to create two separate tables. I mean, I can give you my reasons,
No, no, yeah, no, we're good.
and I'm
Yeah,
convinced, but
we don't want, yeah, we don't we don't need to go there again. But I'm just saying I didn't see any. Yeah, I just didn't see any information yet on employer information. I just kept seeing contacts.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it'll, yeah, it may come back up again, but we're good. We're good. We're proceeding fine.
Okay, all right, good, Victor. Now, obviously, the job order, once you input the job order, now you've got a connection to the employer, so you don't have to put the employer in here, right? Because the job order is a child to the employer.
That's exactly right. That's, yep.
Right.
We would be able to, build another view or form or something to find sample co from whatever job order they pick.
Right, right, exactly. So the application, I think, is okay, except that we have to be able, well, let me just get out of here, save and close. And I think what I wanted to do is go back to the job order because, yeah, And I'm going to get rid of the job application. And I'll go to the form here. I think that's where I wanted to be. Okay, so we have job order main. I kind of use those interchangeably, job order and job opportunity.
Yeah.
But here, so we got job description and okay, so in applications, this is where actually, frankly, I'm a little bit stuck here too. Where, yeah, so I don't know what I guess applications, you can just call it that, labeled, blah, blah, blah. Related records, that makes sense. So applications, I think, this basically, so the source.
You know what? For now, since we know it's not working, can you change that records? Can you make it say not only related records? That might be preventing us from showing a lookup because they're not already related. Maybe.
Well, I have it set to all related. Oh, sure. Let's just do it. I'll save it.
Yeah, and
And
again, we just know it's not working now, so I think maybe trying something.
right. Yeah. Okay. Let's save and publish and see.
Yeah, yeah. But in the future, of course, we want to show the related ones that they've already selected, and then any other new ones that they can select. So we have to figure out how to get both.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to here and, whoa, hey, look at this. We actually have an application.
I'm glad to see it myself.
You're fucking brilliant, if I may say.
The insert expletive here, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm so excited that I have to emphasize the point. Now, so the issue is that what's really interested. Okay. Wait, hang on a second. Oh, active accepted lead types. That's the only one. That's the only thing it's giving us the option to do. I don't get this at
I
all.
thought if you uncheck that, I think we could. Can you uncheck that where it says
This,
active? Yeah, can you uncheck? Now so if you hit new lead type, just to the right, what does that do? This new lead type.
okay, now this is leads. All right. So this is I'm okay. Whoa. Okay.
So this must be connected to, this must be, yeah, so there's something going on with some stuff that we don't want in there.
Well, yeah, that is true. So
But at least we've got it to the point where now we need to see how we could use your pick list in there, that at least we're seeing something.
yeah, the lead. You know what? I spoke too soon, but at least something's showing up there. But I'm going to go back in here and see what the hell's going on. So all record
Oh, you've got the entity set to accepted lead types.
lead time. Okay. Yeah. Now see, I don't know
So
why.
maybe, what are you
Yeah.
going to change it to? Job orders?
Well, no, I'm going to change it to basically, this is applications, right? All applications only related. Yeah. So I think it has to be applications job order, right?
Okay, well, yeah, because then that applications form should show us the pick list for the job orders.
Well, not the pick list, but the lookup.
I'm sorry, yeah, I use pick list lookup. I'm sorry, that's just been with me 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we go, ideally, so I'm going to publish this. What you want to be able to do is you want to, I'll go ahead and refresh. So you want to be able to go from, and again, let's just go back to let's from the contact perspective. All right, so we have, let's say, Genghis Khan here. And okay, so he's a, yeah, good employer for him. So contact type by definition, well, okay, so where's the contact type? Oh, contact type up here, yeah. So I have it actually up here, which is good, right? So we're gonna say this guy's a candidate. Now, when we say it's a candidate, it should, John is looking into, and maybe this is a Julie question. How can we sort of tell it based on the contact type, which form to display? So it's a candidate, it should just go right to the candidate form. Salesforce does that, right? And you don't have to have separate tables. It just basically says, what kind of contact type is this? And then we're going to give you the right view into that. Okay. So this is a candidate type, and I need to change the field header on candidate, but basically it says, okay, this is a contact type candidate. So,
oh yeah, and then you're still gonna, where it's got that status active, you're gonna probably want to swap it so that you can put the type up there so that they're
I think so, yeah.
place. Yeah.
Right,
Okay,
and exactly.
No big deal. I'm
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
edge of my seat to wait to see what happens when you click the applications tab.
Well, I know. So you're absolutely right. So we want to be able, what we want to do, right? So it's the same thing now.
Yeah.
What we want to be able to do is to have a new application here. Okay.
So let's go back to the setup, and instead of saying related only, try to say all in the development environment.
Okay, but before I do that, you understand that what we want this thing to do when we're in the contact, the candidate.
Yeah, we want to change the form view depending on what type of contact they are. Yep, I understand that.
Right. No, what I'm talking about now is that to create an application from the contact view, we want to be able to go here and then have a button that says new application.
Right, and then do the lookup for the types of jobs, and then select one.
Exactly. Right.
Well, and again, so here the candidate, Genghis Khan in this particular case, they're not using this, so they don't have to look at the job description and everything else. This is going to be kind of manually done by other people working with Genghis Khan, right?
Yes, sir. Exactly.
Yeah. So he doesn't need to see any. Yeah, they don't need to see all that depth. We just need to.
Well, not yet.
Populate it. Not yet. That's yes, not yet.
Not until we get everything integrated, and that's version 3 or 4. So okay, so here we have. So you wanted me to change this to all record types.
It's just a guess.
Okay, now I'm going to go back to applications. Well, applications, okay. And all applications. All right, so let's see what happens. Now, this is not a lookup. It doesn't have lookup in here, but let's see what happens.
No, but in your applications form, don't you have a lookup?
I don't know. I haven't even seen the application form yet.
Oh, I thought we had a lookup.
I haven't seen it in the production. I haven't seen it in the live.
Oh, got it, yeah.
So I'll go ahead and do this and see if anything shows up, because I'm not able to create an application. I don't have that new create. Right? So we go to applications and let's see what happens. Okay.
Yeah, we're back to square zero.
Same thing. And it's only refresh and run. We can't even create a new one.
Right.
So that's the big problem is if we could create a new application, then we could see the form
let's go back
and hang on a second, and then use the lookups, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
we just,
let's go back to the setup, and this, instead of selecting the applications, uh, let's select the job order table. And again, the guess here is hopefully it will put the job orders in the applications view.
I'm looking for job orders, but I don't see it. Now here's applications. Now this is a lookup for job order.
I thought there was a job order. I thought there was a job order entity.
Well, there is, but okay, I'm going to say all record types. All right, and then now I'm going to go to, I think I'll find job orders, but I'm not sure what, let's try it. Sure. Okay, so here's job orders, but again, it doesn't include a lookup table. Right? Active job, okay. So
No, I would make that say all, because they may be looking at old ones that they applied. Again, if it works. Oh, it only has active and inactive. Okay, so be it.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's try this, and I'll save it and publish. Yeah, the only issue is that no lookup relationship was created. So, but let's see what happens. Yeah, it's okay. It's I think you're trying the right things. And okay. Okay. So, okay. All applications associated view. Oh, applications associated view. Okay. Name default. And if I okay.
That's interesting.
It doesn't have the labels. It doesn't have the columns. So if I go to all applications, it does have the right field names here. So there's only two options: applications associated view or all applications. Now maybe there's a view that we can put in here
Son of a gun.
that includes a lookup.
So the app. Let's. Okay, so far the only thing that worked was activity type, which is interesting. So if you go back to the development environment, let's look at what's in the applications form. So, well, hang on. John, let me understand this real. So this section is called applications. Within this section, I think is your applications form. Is that not what that is?
No, it's an applications view.
What's it connected to?
Well, it's connected to the so it's the job order form. This is the job order form.
Right.
The applications tab, it's really is a view of related applications, right? It's not the applications form itself. The applications form is in the applications entity.
But I thought that, that's what dropped in here.
Well, the form doesn't. What basically, let me show you what happens when you can define which fields appear, but they're all going to appear as a list, like as a view.
Yeah, see, this is where I was learning yesterday and was trying to figure it out.
Well, I'm going to put like show. I'm going to basically say show all the views here, just in case. But so I'm going to basically I'm going to edit, and then here's where basically you can say define what shows up here, what gets displayed. but this isn't the form itself. This is just a related view. So it's active job opportunities, and you can basically tell it which columns are available to add, right? But there's lookup tables.
So it's building a view from that related entity, which has these fields in it, the entity being
Yeah,
a table.
yeah. I
And
think.
then, and is there a way for us to say whether we could add or delete? Or does add just kind of inherent? Sometimes I notice that you have an add button and sometimes you don't.
Um, well, yeah, that's the problem is that I don't know what you do to include add, but I think it may have something to do with the fact that you can't even view.
Right, yes. Yeah. Yeah, we were able to add those activity types when we were able to look at actual data. So we
Right,
hope that
right.
the add button will appear.
But these are, I mean, you can basically select, let's see what, I don't know, the job order, there's several lookup tables here and new job order, job orders. I think maybe these are redundant. I'm pretty sure. And that might argue, like, for example, location. I did a new location because I used a zip code and it wanted to put a comma, you know, in there. And I said, no. I think you have to make it a text field to make it so there's no commas.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying? So I tried something, it didn't work. And then I couldn't remove it. So I just created a new one. So I think
Yeah.
that's probably what happened with these different job order things.
No, that happens. Later, John Cassar knows we have to clean up. He should be
Yeah.
he should be good at
But there's
helping
lookups.
clean those things up.
You can see that there's lookups here to the job order, right? Which is great. And maybe, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's just include all of these suckers. See
You
which
know
one.
what? Include the employer one too, just for grins.
Okay, good idea. Well, now we have lots of columns here, so I don't know if we're pushing things here a little bit, but let's
Well, at some point, if there's dozens of business analyst jobs, it might be easier for them to know that we want the business analyst at Sample Co. versus a business analyst at somewhere else.
yeah. Well, and no, you're right. It should be in here. It absolutely should be in here, the employer, right? So I'm going to go ahead and
Oh,
uh,
you're able to move them.
but keep in mind, so the employer is a lookup. And the reason I didn't put it here is because I don't want to also have to look up the employer. I want that to automatically populate. But let's see what happens.
Well, I'm hoping it works like a filter, and that the job titles filter depending upon which employer you chose. That's what I'm.
Yeah, well, let's
Well,
keep our fingers crossed.
yeah, if it works at all, it would be nice if that worked.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly. Um, okay,
when
so
it works, let's be hopeful.
when it
When
works,
it works, it will.
when it works, there you
When
go.
it
There we
works.
go. That's yeah. Now you're talking. Okay, so I published. All right, let's refresh this thing. You know, it's amazing. Learning this environment has made me so much better navigating the Salesforce environment. I sort of like all of a sudden I understand why stuff is done in that environment too. It's amazing.
The
Anyway,
Navy's, yeah, the Navy just bought Salesforce, or
oh,
or or they're planning to. So they had. I just was on the conference call the other day. We have Microsoft Office, Microsoft SharePoint. Some places I think we're using Microsoft Dynamics. I They said that they're planning to incorporate Salesforce. I said, look, if you have your choice, why don't you pick the one that inherently works with all the other stuff we already have, which is all Microsoft. So I
no.
put in my 2 cents. We'll see what they say.
Well, let's see. So we did, it looks like the changes that we made in the development environment did not take, did not take root. Now, sometimes I found that some of the changes took maybe minutes or longer. But if we look at, I'm just going to do only related records because we're really talking about appointments, I'm sorry, applications, job order. I can't imagine how it would not be just that. I could be wrong about that, but um,
Gotta try. Have to try it. Have to try it.
yeah. Okay, so so we did add columns, but oh, okay. This is interesting. There's only these.
Well, and to me, this has to do with the application. If you go to the application entity and you look at the form in there, that's, I think, what appears in the application form view. Now, these fields appear, I think, in the job order form view. So I think if we want to change what's available, I think we have to change the application form.
You might be, yeah. I think maybe you're right. By the way, I have to leave in about 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna like see how
Turn it
I turn these
and
to
then
the.
turn it over to me and let me let me and then turn it over to me and let me poke around for
There you go. Yeah, I
I
mean,
poked at it, John. I
at this
poked at
point,
it
I've
for six
exposed my
hours
limitation.
yesterday. I poked
What's
at it
that?
for I poked at it yesterday for a long time.
Well, I think, maybe just recreating the whole thing from scratch once again, just creating this, the application or the job order old or something like that. But there's got to be some sort of a lookup, and hopefully, let me just see if, all right, created by, okay, so I've got employer lookup, the same lookups that we had before, right? I'm going to press OK, and we see that okay, now at least nominally, they are part of this thing. So now I'm going to save it. And I'm going to save it again. And I'm going to save and close. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's saved here. And I'm going to save and close again. And then I'm going to say, I, I don't think there's anything else for me to do here. So I just can OK that. And then I can save this and then publish it again and see if anything really happened on the form. Make sure it's fully published. Okay, and now I'll refresh, and it'll default back to the summary. And now we're back to, okay, the big reveal.
Do
Yeah,
me a favor. Yep, I see. Yep, and you have to leave in a couple minutes. Do me a favor. Change the contact, John, from Genghis Khan. Uh, let's go to the real quick. Go to the accounts and go to Sample Co.
okay. So I'm gonna go to accounts.
And then go to job orders. Barbara Cantu. Now go back to contacts and select Barbara Cantu under no, I'm sorry, customers contacts, all the way to the left.
Oh, well,
All the way to the left. No, the customer.
oh, here.
Go to contacts. Select Cantu.
Well, she was on, by the way, I mean, she was
No, no, no.
also,
Well, can you go? You could go there from either way. Okay.
yeah. I mean, let's make
Okay.
sure. So sample code, right? And the primary contact here is Bella Woods, but we want to go to sample, right? And then we can basically go to contacts right? So Barbara is here.
Okay, click on Can 2 and then
Right, just so
change
you know,
your,
yeah. So yeah, that's a
and then,
shortcut. Go ahead.
and then go to Applications now. Interesting.
Right, because
Go to drop down from all app, see
no,
a
no,
little
but wait
bit.
a minute. Barbara Cantu, so she's here showed as a candidate. So the job order is going to be different from when it's, based on an employer, right? Right, because this is the job orders, the applications that are shown from the contact record. It doesn't matter if you're a candidate or a contact. It's what shows up on the contact record, right? So if you're Barbara Cantu and you're a contact, you're not going to have the applications, presumably, right?
That's right. That's right. I was just, yep. I just wanted
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah. Okay, just
I
want to
just
make sure
wanted,
you.
I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to show us a job order for the contact who created it, which would have been a related record. I just wanted
Oh,
to,
no. Yeah, yeah. So let's assume Barbara's a candidate. Yeah, it's basically going to say which job you applied to. It's not going to have your name. We should get rid of this, right? Because
hey,
obviously,
yeah, tell you what, make Barbara Cantu make her switch her from go to contact. Yep. And then, just switch her
right?
from
So
an employer, just switch her from an employer to a, well, I could play with this when you go. You've got to get going.
well,
I could
she's
play
she's
around
an
with this.
employer. She's an employer contact. She's just a regular contact now, and
Right,
she may not be a primary. Like she's a portal user.
right.
She may or may not be primary contact. And yeah, it'd be nice to know if she happens to be a veteran in branch, but the focus is very, very different, right?
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll,
Is that,
I'll, uh, I'll, I'll play with it and, try to get that working. I understand where we're trying to go. You're much more nimble than but I'll see what I could get done. When are you gonna, are you gonna have, what am I trying to say? Are you going to be working on it later on today so that we're not working on it at the same time? Or do you want to text me when you're able to work on it again later?
well, I tell you what, why don't you go as much as you can and just let me know when you want me to pick up? Because, just let me know, kind of summarize what you've done.
Okay.
Just,
And what's the best way? I don't like to keep posting that to the board. Should I just text you as long as it's not
oh, yeah. Just,
too late?
Victor, I'm going to be probably out until about 5, your 2.
Yep.
And if you want to keep going, I can get up early tomorrow and work on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's plan on that then. I'll look at it today and then well, all of us are going to work on it tomorrow morning, or at least talk about it tomorrow
Yeah.
morning.
Right. And
Okay.
it would be nice to have something that at least if you want to, get rid of the job applications and maybe make this one the backup and then just recreate if you like, or work off that job applications. But it seems like John was saying that the key needs to be we've got to have clean lookups or something. You can see that I've got like 4 lookup fields, and that's not good, right? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, it's yeah, we'll teach each other. We'll learn from each
yeah,
other.
exactly.
We'll figure it out, and then we'll get the big guns in if when we've exhausted our efforts.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, good. So what's your, at what point do you think you'll run out of, steam on this?
uh, I think I'll probably have at least 2 hours. At what point? I don't. I'm let's put it this way. I I'm stubborn and such that I will work on it until it's, barring sleep and food. I work on something until I figure it out. If I can't figure it out, you'll know tomorrow morning.
Okay, well, the reason I was asking is that if it would be useful, if you want to work on it for, say, I mean, I'm going to be gone for about maybe 3 hours, and I can come back and work on it, and see what you did. And if you got the thing working, fantastic. There's really not much for me to do except nip around the edges, like fix the headers and stuff like that. But if you
Yeah, just
get
text me when
stuck,
you're back.
let me know.
Just text me when you're back at your computer, and if I'm on and we want to poke around for another half hour at the same time, so be it. Otherwise, I'll text you when I'm done.
All right, sounds good. We got the dynamic duo working here, so
Yeah, right.
we'll be good.
Well,
All right, man.
all right, John. Take it easy. Thanks
All right,
again.
Victor. Hey, really, yeah, good work, man, and good sleuthing.
All right. Take it easy. Thank
All
you.
right, bye-bye.